2.
Hi, I'm Jenny Rosencrantz with the University of Maryland Extension, and joining me is Crystal Giesey, and she has Masterpiece Flowers. We are going to walk you through how to make these gorgeous wreaths from material that you get on your own property. If you don't have it, you have neighbors that have some beautiful greenery. But all of this is natural and it is easy to do. So join us for Delmarva Gardens coming up next right here on Pack 14. Let's go ahead and start out with this one because it's so pretty. Okay. The neat thing about wreaths is that I don't really think it matters if this is on the top or the side or the bottom or this side or the top. What do you think?
I think it's really your preference. You can put it any way you want, and the good part is where it's kind of just bunched into one area, it kind of makes a focal however you turn it.
I like that, yes. Now, so everything that you have in this beautiful wreath, we can really go ahead and get just around here. So
Yeah.
you've got the fir, and I love this because this is very soft.
Yes.
I know a lot of people like to use spruce, and spruce are prickly.
Yes, we avoid that at all costs because it will eat your hands up.
It will, it will. And you know, if you're going to be doing this with your hands, not a good thing.
Yes.
And so then you have,
That is some cedar.
this is cedar.
Yeah,
You could
yeah.
use Leland cypress or the cedar, which is really good. And the neat thing about it is this is what it looks like when it's facing like that, but when you turn it over, it has a little bit more of a silver shine to it. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, and this is hydrangeas, and
Yeah.
so you just dry them in the summertime,
Yeah,
right?
so I always tell everybody, if you have hydrangeas, these are actually particularly limelight hydrangeas.
Oh, yes.
Just leave the blooms on the plant. They don't dry extremely well if they're cut fresh. They'll just kind of shrivel up on you.
Right, right.
If you leave them on your plant, they will naturally begin to dry. And then once you touch them and kind of feel that like tissue crunch to it,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a good time to cut them, hang them up, or put them in a vase depending on how you want them displayed, and then they'll go ahead and fully dry out and you can use them. And you know, all dried flowers really have a good year life in them. They'll start to get a little dust after a year, and then you're probably ready to like put them in the fire or compost them, but
Yes.
they will last for you.
That's really a good idea. That's a good idea. And hydrangeas do so well here on the Eastern Shore. They
Yeah.
really, really do. Especially the blue ones because our soil is so acidic. But then there's some gorgeous ones like burning embers.
Yeah.
And that has got gorgeous pink flowers. Oh, I love that one. Anyways, and so you've got these little teeny twigs that are just so delicate.
Yeah.
But they just add a really cool kind of a whimsical thing. So it doesn't matter what they are.
No, you can use any twigs you want. These are just off of a native river birch.
Okay, it looked like a birch. And
Yeah,
good.
but you could use any twigs. I mean, they're just going to give you that like natural kind of foresty feel and add a little texture to your wreath.
All right, good. And I like the fact that you've got them coming up from the back here first and then swirling up here. So back and then front.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like dancing. See, even wreaths can dance. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I love about this, because the fir here is so fragrant. Oh,
Yeah, really gets you in the mood for the
yes,
season.
it does. Okay, I'm going to put this one back. And let's go ahead and take a look at the other one. Oh, God, I didn't drop it. You know, the other thing about wreaths is when you drop them, as long as you don't drop them on their heads, they're usually pretty good.
Yes.
So again, this has got the beautiful fir.
Yes, and the cedar.
And the cedar right here. And this is just the common red cedar, isn't it?
Yes.
So this is the one that in the springtime, you might find this big orange gelatinous stuff that looks like aliens have landed.
Yeah.
And that's cedar apple rust.
Yes.
But this time of year, you're not going to notice that, and it's not going to affect this at all because it's really, really pretty. And I love the fact that, oh wow, you've got cotton.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
Yeah, so we grow that right here on the farm.
Oh, look at that. Now, you have to be kind of careful of the edges right here because they are a little pointy, but the cotton itself is so pretty.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, and I call this honesty.
Also known as lunaria or money plant.
Money plant too. And it's a biennial, so the first year it's a little rosette of foliage, and then in the early springtime it has these bright purple flowers.
Yeah, they're so
real
pretty.
early. They're so pretty. And then if you don't pick the flowers, they turn into these gorgeous little dried things.
Yeah.
And now this is interesting. This
Yeah, so this is bleached ruscus.
Okay, it's
Yes.
bleached.
Yes. So
Wow.
it's been more of a trend in the dried kind of floral industry, different like tinted products and bleached products, just adding different textures and colors that you normally wouldn't get all on their own.
Well, it gives it kind of like a snowflake look.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I like. It's nice and delicate and all that. And then you've got the pine cones.
Yeah,
This is so
pine
cool.
cones.
They are so lovely. Now, again, though, you added something different. So this is eucalyptus, and this is one we can actually grow here on the shore.
Yeah, we grow our eucalyptus here. We always grow it for 2 years. The first year, of course, you can cut from it. The second year, you're going to cut it back really low.
Right.
We cover it, and then we let it grow the second year.
Yeah.
After that, we rip it out. It'll get really tree-like.
Yes, it does.
And now, if you want to leave it there forever, that's great.
Yeah.
But in our spaces, we try to like turn over things, and we don't want it to get unmanageable.
Right, understand. And when you say tree-like, this can get to be huge.
Yes.
Absolutely huge. But again, I love the way you have it all kind of flowing together. And even the cones, you have some cone coming up here, but the other cones are just following the flow, which is just so lovely.
Thank you.
Neat, 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 neat. Okay, let's go check out another one. Oh, this is like Christmas shopping. Okay, go ahead and grab that one. That's
Alrighty.
perfect. Oh, wow. Okay, so with this, she's got the juniper, but junipers are like hollies. You have the females, which have the berries, and the males that provide the pollen and the anthers. So with this, these are the dried berries of our just regular red cedar, which is fabulous.
Yeah.
That is so pretty. So the cedar is soft and kind of thin, so you're actually adding an awful lot of the fur just to kind of
A little more texture, a little more bulk. Yeah.
And again, now, this is sort of a different color cotton.
Yeah, so the other cotton was a green foliated. This is a brown foliated cotton.
Wow.
They have several varieties. It's a little different than your typical white cotton that you see. They're heirloom varieties that we grow.
Yeah, yeah. A couple years ago, I know people would be able to buy organic cotton that didn't have to be dyed because it just was naturally like that.
Yes.
That is so cool. And again, these beautiful hydrangeas are so pretty. And this is really, I just love the way these leaves kind of like curl up.
Yeah.
Now, you were telling me that this is...
This is a dried viburnum leaf. So we grow several viburnums on the property. This is a berry vernum. It gets like beautiful little red berries. It kind of has a waxiness to the leaf. And once dried, it curls up in just this really unique shape and adds some more texture.
It almost looks like a bow.
Yeah, yeah.
It really,
like
really
a
does.
natural bow.
Yes,
Very cool.
Yes. Okay, so what we're going to do, since we've seen all these really cool ones, we're going to go ahead and start making ones. Join us. Now, this is my favorite way to make a wreath, to have somebody do it while I just go, oh, that looks lovely. So what we're doing is, what we're going to do is put together bundles of greens, okay? And it can be whatever you have on hand. And you know, Crystal's really lucky because she has a lot of trees that she's had for a while, but you can just go ahead into the woods and get any type of tree that you want that's green. Evergreen is best, of course.
Yeah, sure.
But you know, I'm usually the kind of person who would be so careful to get, you know, the perfect green, like this would be my perfect green, just like that. But she cuts this one also, and actually that's good because she can use that in the back to give a little bit more extra volume and girth. I like that word, girth. So, okay, so we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna use a form like this. If you don't have something like this, you can really use a coat hanger and take the coat hanger and turn it into just a circle, and you already have a hook on it, which is pretty cool too.
And believe it or not, they have these right at the dollar store.
Yes, yes, these are easy to find. These are really easy to find. So you need that, and then you're going to need to have some wire. Now, what type of wire do you have?
So this is paddle wire. I believe this is 26 gauge.
Okay, so
but they also sell it in like pre-cut pieces.
Oh, okay.
You can get them right at the craft store or at the hardware store.
Okay. Now, I have tried to sometimes use thinner wire, and that's really a disaster because you get them really, really tight, and then they break up on you.
Yes.
Not a good idea. That's so frustrating.
Yes.
So, okay, I'm going to let you go ahead and play, and I'll just watch and observe while you do.
Sure. So we just start by, you're going to have like a branch or pieces that you've cut. You're going to cut your pieces off, and we've already cut some here.
Yes.
So you're going to take some pieces, put put them together in a bundle, kind of make a nice shape. Like you said, you're going to want some pieces to be thicker that you might put in the back just to give it a little space, and some smaller pieces. And then you're going to wrap them together in a little bundle. So I'm actually going to start probably with this. I'll use this one.
Okay.
Because it's already open. My first one, for whatever reason, I always wrap it with the same wire that I'm going to use on the actual frame. And I'm going to go around 3 or 4 times around the bundle real tight. And then I'm going to take it and attach it to this frame. When I'm doing that, I kind of like to tilt it out a little bit on an angle.
Right, angling.
Just so it gives it a little bit more movement.
Right.
And then we're going to wrap this around here.
Okay.
Again, you're going to want to go about 3 or 4 times around. Make sure you've got it real tight, and then you're going to let it rest. While you've done that, you're going to start on your next bundle. So when you go to your next bundle, I do use a second paddle of wire, because what I'll do is bunch these up individually, and then I'll put it on here and wrap it around with that. So I've got one right here.
Okay, good.
And then we'll just go ahead and go on around.
All right.
So once you've started to do that a couple times, you can do it at the beginning, you can do it at the end, whatever you'd prefer, but you can go ahead and start adding in different decorative pieces too.
Oh, that's the fun part.
Yeah. So, you can even kind of go around your yard or into ditches or the woods and find some really neat stuff. We've got some red rose hips here, actually from wild roses that just grow in the ditch.
Nice.
You'll see them in the summer. They kind of have like those pretty little white flowers.
Yes.
But they kind of shatter, so they don't make much of a cut. But they'll definitely add some really nice stuff to your arrangement. So they do have a little bit of thorns.
Yeah.
You need to be a little careful of those. But I cut a few of those.
Nature.
Put them in.
Oh, they're so delicate.
Yeah, they have a really pretty natural red color. So we'll make our next bundle. We'll add those in.
Okay.
Put
I
some
love
like
this. That is so lovely.
Yeah.
That is so lovely. And see, some of the green is upside down. So you have the blue color, which I love as much as the green color too. So there is no right or wrong way to throw it together. Just go ahead, and if it looks good, then you're good.
Yeah, you kind of have fun with it. Make it your own. And you can make it any shape you want to. Some people like the traditional round, but there's also going to be people who want more of like an asymmetrical look. And when you're doing that, you can cut some pieces with a little bit longer length.
Yes.
And make one area that is kind of asymmetrical and sticking out a little.
Neat.
So when you're putting them together, you kind of you don't want to put them right on top of each other, but kind of lay them so that they do overlap and you're getting good coverage with it.
So when I've been working with them, I always try to say, just as long as you can go ahead and cover where you've gone ahead and taken the wire.
Yeah, you just want to like hide your mechanics a little bit. So once you've gone around 3 or 4 times,
that's good.
Then you just continue on. You just keep making your little bundles, almost like you're making little bits of like a little bouquet. Add a little bit more of this in.
Oh, that's gonna be nice.
And then, we even use different elements. So we have like the cotton and the hydrangeas that we've talked about.
Right.
But we also have some feathers here.
Oh, feathers.
And these are just from our chickens.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so we save our feathers from our chickens when they're molting. It's a natural process they go through.
Yes.
And it just adds a little bit of texture and a little bit of movement to your wreath, and gives you more of that natural look you're going for.
So you can do this indoors, you can do this outdoors. If you do it outdoors and it's windy, you just have to catch a couple of things and they start to fly away.
Absolutely. You never know with the wind around here these days.
That's so true. Oh, that is so pretty. And look how easy this is.
Yeah.
Especially for me.
So we just keep making them.
That is so lovely. Okay. Now you wouldn't want to have, I noticed with all the wreaths that you do, you have the color in a certain area.
Yeah, so I tend to kind of make little areas of color and little areas of different natural elements that we add, but it's really your preference. You could go all the way around with the berries or all the way around with any natural pieces you add in, but we kind of try to like make little moments of color or texture rather than the whole thing. I think it just kind of gives it more of a focal point.
It highlights it,
Yeah.
absolutely. And the softness of the feathers, again, that's a different kind of highlight with a different texture, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I would never have thought to use chicken feathers.
Yeah.
I love it.
Use what you've got,
Yes.
add it in, and then just keep, like I said, overlapping.
Right? Mm-hmm.
And then once you finish too, you can kind of go in and manually like fluff some pieces out.
Right.
Because they aren't fixed. They are just kind of put in there and you can rearrange the little pieces.
Right. Now, I notice you don't use holly, and I try to tell people
Yes.
that holly berries, if you put a holly with beautiful berries on it, and it's on a door that opens and closes, those berries are going to fall off, they're going to get squished into the carpet. Not a good idea.
The other problem with holly is it also browns very quickly.
It does, and it has all those points. Ugh.
Yeah, the points, it browns. That's another reason why we don't, personally for our farm, use a lot of pine, just because I know it's a very prevalent, tree around
Yes.
here, but if for longevity, where we start making our wreaths in November and we want them to last through the new year, they can dry out.
Right.
The cedars, the firs, they just have a longer life
Yes.
without any water source.
They actually hold water longer.
Yes.
That's how they're built, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Neat. Now, I'd like, personally, I like to use a little bit of white pine, but white pine is, sometimes it's difficult to grow here on the Eastern Shore
Yeah.
because we have such a high water table.
Yes.
They like the gravel and sandy soils, but they like it well drained.
Yes.
And one of the quickest way to kill a pine is have it sitting with the roots in the water for over 1 day, and then it's gone. And you might not realize it for months, and then you look at it and go, what happened to my pine? Oh, what happened to my pine? Well,
Yeah.
back in the day when it was really, really wet, like when we had all the hurricanes this year.
Yeah, so we
Yes.
still have standing water on our farm from that.
Wow.
Fortunately, in a lot of those low points, we have planted a lot of our hydrangeas,
Yes.
different things that don't mind that wet feet.
And bayberry.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, do you use bayberry?
No,
Oh, okay.
we don't have any of that here.
One of the cool things I think about the kind of wreaths you're making with the material you have, it does handle being out in the elements for quite a while. So,
Yeah.
so these things will really last. Whereas other times, like for instance, if you wanted to have a wreath, or maybe even a flower arrangement or something like that you wanted to use greens for, like the party that you're going to have like the next day, you could use all kinds of things that
yeah.
wouldn't hold up as much. Like we were
Absolutely.
talking about pines before. I like using loblolly pines because of the dark, rich needles, but you're
Yeah.
right, they do dry out, especially indoors. And I love white pine because it's so soft. I love the fragrance.
Yes, smells so good.
Yeah, yeah, but you do have to kind of worry about that sometimes.
Yeah, and it just depends on what you want to do with it. If you're using, like you said, something for an event, you can add really whatever you want into it. But if you, like for us, are making something for someone and you're selling it to them, you definitely want them to have the most longevity out of it. You
Yes.
want them to be able to look at that and say, oh, I bought this and I paid money for it, but I've had it last for, 2 months. So
Yes.
it just depends on who the end person is that's going to be receiving that wreath.
Right, right.
So yeah, so as we come to the end, you're going to get to this point, as you can see, where this is foliage that's overlapping and then you have your end here. So what you're going to end up doing is kind of pulling this back a little bit. You'll grab onto your wreath base and you'll wrap it under. And then I will probably do one more wrap under there
Good.
to kind of complete that so you don't have any gaps.
Right. And I've noticed everything that you do, even though they're very full and beautiful, whoops, sorry about that.
That's
It makes it even, which is nice.
Yeah.
I was just looking at your chicken feathers, how cool they are. So now, we live on the Eastern Shore.
Yes.
And a lot of people see a lot of white chickens, usually
Yeah.
going to make dinners for somebody. This is different. So is this a specific brand or just
Yeah, so they're just our chickens that we have at our house. We have 6 of them. They're a breed called Easter Egger. It's just really kind of like the mutt breed of chickens. They're where a couple of varieties have been bred together.
Yeah.
And they lay all different color eggs. So it could be kind of pinkish or greenish or bluish or even
the
brown.
Easter egg. That is so cool.
Yeah. So they're really neat, really friendly breed. And they usually have more of this browner tone, but they can have some like golden colors, some grayish colors. They're really a sweet breed to have for your home.
Well, the other nice things about if you can have chickens in your area, they eat an awful lot of bugs.
Yeah, so
which makes it really actually a control.
Yeah,
and pest control.
They're really great. They eat all the bugs in your garden area. Now, you do have to watch them if they are going to get some of your plants, especially if you're growing vegetables or you have like young seedlings, because they'll kind of scratch at them. But especially if you've just cleared a garden bed, they're really, really good. I'll go ahead and let that go and wire this under. But they're really, really good for helping that.
So you can see how you do that.
Okay, so I just take that last piece and I kind of just wrap it around that wreath base and kind of give it like a secure wrapped end.
So you can see the back end of this is still green and all that kind of stuff. You can see some of the wire, but this is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I love this. This is so cool. Now you mentioned that we were going to go ahead and put some pine cones in.
Yeah, so I just kind of go around, I look at the wreath and I make sure there isn't any place that you can see any of the mechanics. If you need to fluff out some of your pieces. And then we're going to take some of these pine cones.
Okay.
And you can pick these up out of your yard. That's where we've done. And right now they're a little bit closed, but that's just because we had some recent rain. As they dry out, they'll open back up more.
That's right, they do.
Yeah, so I'll take a couple of these.
Oh, they're little prickly guys.
Yeah, a little prickly. They're not the soft ones. And if you want to, you can always wear gloves in this part. But we take some of the wire. I'll cut out probably about a foot piece.
Now the scissors that you're using, those are actually wire cutters, correct?
So these are just your standard Fiskars. They're kind of like a utility scissor.
Oh, Fiskars, yes.
Yeah, so anything, this wire, it's thicker wire, but it's not so thick that you have to have wire cutters.
Okay, good.
So you can really use whatever you have in your house. Even if you just have regular like craft scissors, it would work.
Okay.
You might have to cut it once or twice, but eventually you'll get right through it.
Right.
And so what I do is I kind of put the wire into the folds of the pine cone.
Right.
Like that, and I just wrap it around.
Okay.
Make sure it's got enough to grab onto, and then I just overlap it. So then it's real tight there.
Good.
And then I'll pick a place, and again, I kind of keep it to the focal, and I'll kind of tuck it in some branches.
Right.
And I'll
So
work
the focal
wire
is
around.
our gorgeous little rose hips and the feathers, and now some pine cones.
And so then again, we'll come over here, we'll twist the wire around each other, and do that a few times. And then I will probably cut this excess off a little bit.
Right, because sometimes too much is just too much.
Too much. And then again, just wrap it around that wreath base a few times.
There you go.
You don't have any sharp points and it's more secure.
Yes.
And then I'll probably put at least one more on.
Now, do you do things in 2s or 3s, or does it matter? Or just it depends on the wreath?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the wreath. I kind of let the wreath tell me. Usually, I find the best rule of thumb is odd numbers are best. But again, it just depends on what look you're going for with that wreath.
And in a sense, you did like 3 different layers with the rose hips too.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Oh, I like that.
But I think for this one, we'll probably stick with just the 2 pine cones.
I'll hold this for you.
Twist
There
it. Trim that just a little.
you go.
And then wrap it again.
That is so lovely.
And then you have like a very nice natural wreath.
Oh, I love it.
So you've got your berries, your feathers, and your pine cones. And you can add really whatever you want to it. If you're more of a fan of, like the lighter colors or more sticking out, you can add so many things in. Like we have the eucalyptus that you can add in. It dries really nicely even though it's fresh. And then we have, this is actually some sweet Annie.
Oh, that would be very fragrant.
Really fragrant. You might want to use a little hairspray. As you can see, the fluffiness will fluff out. But it has this nice, white, pretty, fluffy look. We have some more of the dried hydrangeas. And then this is actually willow. It's pussy willow. It has, in this time of year where it drops its leaves, it gets these nice red little pieces to it. Eventually this will open up to your, you know, your fuzzy little seed areas, but this red area in the winter is so nice for your wreaths.
Absolutely, that is gorgeous. I was looking at that thinking, oh, it looks like pussy willow, but I wasn't 100% sure. Because, you know, when you think, when you're looking at plants in the winter, they always look a little different.
Yeah.
And I see that you also have some of these sea oats.
Yeah, so we grow sea oats here on the farm. They're really nice grass and perennial for us. I'll pull some of them out. And they just have such a nice look. Now you can cut these while they're still green and dry them, and they'll retain a lot of that green. Or you can let them brown out in the sun on the plant, and they'll get this nice little look to it.
Now, I love the fact that everything is all natural, but there's some people who like to do a little glitter, a little bit of sparkle. So you can probably take something like that and either spray it with gold or silver or even glitter, and then tuck a little bit of that in just for a
and you know,
if that's what you want.
Magnolia leaves are really great for that too. You can spray paint them with some gold. We even have some thistle in here. This is a variety called rattlesnake thistle.
Oh my.
And it has these really big thistle pods to it. And you could do the same thing. You could spray paint those silver, whatever you wanted to do to it.
Lovely, and they're not really horrible either. I mean, I would say that these are easier probably to work with than the pine cones because they're soft instead of really prickly.
Yeah.
That is so neat.
Yeah, so just different stuff that you can find all around.
Yeah, I love that. Now, you could add a bow to it, or you don't really have to.
Yeah, you could definitely add a bow. We've got some ribbon here.
Oh, okay.
So we can go ahead and add one. Now I do really simple bows. I don't do more of like the typical florist bow where they do like the lots of loops and everything. And actually,
let's just see how you do on then.
With the trends, honestly, that are in the floral industry right now, a lot of times you'll find just a simple tying of the ribbon and letting it dangle and no bow. So it's just one of those things where the trends kind of change and what you like personally. So again,
I love that ribbon though. That's very, it's not, it has absolutely no wire in it. And it's just a real pretty shine on both sides. It's kind of like a satin.
Yeah, satin. We use a lot of silk ribbon too. We make some natural silk ribbons from different plant dyes. So we use the plants that we have here. But you can either leave it just tied like that, and then you have it just simply dangling.
Oh, that's lovely.
Which is nice. Or you can do a normal bow. Again, we don't do the loop bows. I know that was very popular at one point, but you know, it just depends on what you prefer. But you can also do that and then just kind of pull it out.
Puff it up a little bit.
Yep.
Yes.
And then kind of pull your ribbon piece down. So then you kind of have a bow.
When you have something as simple and natural as this, I think having a bow that looks like a bow is really all you need. Anything that would be multi would just be overwhelming for that. See how easy that is?
Yeah, and like we talked about earlier, you can use a coat hanger. You could go to the dollar store or the craft store, buy one of these bases for $1 or $2, and then just get things from your own yard or local woods.
Yes, that is so cool. Thank you so much
welcome.
for sharing how you do that. That is so cool. Now you were working, let's go ahead and hang that one back up real quick.
Sure.
And you were working on this one. And this is one, I just sort of want to show people how you add a couple extra things to it. Because this one has got eucalyptus leaves. It has some of the berries and some of the feathers in it. But now from here, you just go regular, right?
Yeah, I'd probably go regular. And again, like I said, you can add more. I probably put a few more pieces of the eucalyptus, longer pieces to give it some more
Well, let's go ahead and do it.
Sure.
Now, with this one, you don't have any of the juniper in it right now?
No. This is just, the furs and just bunching them together.
Another way to do it, because this is so cool. Love this.
Alrighty. So I like to do some of the longer pieces of the eucalyptus, and one thing that I find that's nice is to put like 1 or 2 pieces in the back. And you kind of want to give them like different height lengths.
Okay, so that they're not matching.
Yeah, it looks more aesthetically pleasing if everything is not exactly the same height. So then I bunch that up.
And again, you have to Wire it?
Wire wrap it around a couple times.
Oh, and that smells so good.
Yeah, and the eucalyptus is just really fragrant and really hardy. So then we're gonna come over here,
Right?
and open this one back up.
Okay, yeah, because we tricked it off a little bit before.
All right, and
This
then
is so pretty.
again, you just wanna overlap, hide your mechanics.
Right?
We're gonna grab that wreath base. And that's another thing to think about. If for some reason you do need to stop, you can always stop and start back up. Just to remember that first one, you're gonna wanna give it a couple extra wraps around
just
to
to
keep that
base it.
tight. Yeah.
Right. So if the phone rings, if somebody
Exactly.
comes and says, "Hi, I have a talk with you," there you go.
You're
Very
baking
cool.
cookies while you're
Oh,
making a
yes, I
wreath.
can just see myself multitasking like that. Here, I'll go ahead and get some more of this beautiful fur.
Alrighty. And again, we'll just
Lovely,
add some of
lovely.
this in.
Now, I would say, since you have the eucalyptus, you probably wouldn't put the cones into this, would you?
I probably wouldn't, but if you wanted to, you could still pop a few more in. Again, it just kind of depends on what is your personal look that you're going for.
See, and that's the beauty of these things. It's yours. If you put in whatever you like to put in, whatever you have. I love that.
And cover your
Now,
wire.
at the end of the season, and these guys will stay green all through the winter. They actually are not going to start turning brown until spring warms up. And then they're going to go, what? And then they'll turn brown. At that point, you can take them apart if you want to and compost all that stuff. And this is where it's really good to use what's native and what's good, because we've had some people who used to use the Oriental bittersweet because it was so gorgeous. And they would just throw it in the backwoods or toss it in the compost pile. And those seeds actually germinated. Now we have an invasive Oriental bittersweet, which is what we have. So try to stay native if you can. This is so cool.
All right. Making a little bundle. Put some more eucalyptus in.
Lovely.
Oops.
Now, do you ever cut yourself while you're doing that?
Not
in yours?
normally, but sometimes you can scratch yourself with the wire, things like that.
Yeah.
And honestly, where I'm usually farming all day, I wouldn't know where it came from, whether it was from out in the garden or in the wreath making.
Understand.
And then it kind of gives you that nice flow, and you can just
Yes.
continue around with the eucalyptus, which I think would be fun, or you could
Yeah.
go back to just fir.
Lovely. And I have some more greens over here too. There's a little bit flatter, I think, than that one.
Yeah, yeah,
I
some
like the
nice look.
combination of those two together. Wow, so cool. Well, I hope you guys all had a really good time, and I thank you for joining us, making these beautiful wreaths with Crystal from Masterpiece Flowers. And remember, you guys can just go out to your own yard, or if your friends or neighbors have really, really pretty things, start making friends with them, and just go ahead and say, can I prune a little bit of this off? I love getting friends to let me borrow some of their plants. So thanks for joining me for Delmarva Gardens right here on Pack 14.